Surviving through August has been hazardous for second stimulus, but finally we get some relief as a package is likely to get approved in September. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Congratulations. You're going to get a second stimulus package. My goodness. We endured the hazards of August, and we're finally on the other side to what's going to be a very good month, the month of September. This is LALATE Afternoons. Hope you're great and safe. It's our 2-hour programming block that starts every day at 3:30 with the check, then goes to hazard pay. Then FPUC, our broadcast right after this one, which I have a free grant in that video, so tune in. And finally, after that, we're going to slowly merge into our broadcast schedule hurricane coverage. It will replace Rent with incredible coverage tonight about Hurricane Laura. Let me get right to the exciting news about stimulus and hazard pay. Hazard pay is going to likely come to fruition. I can't believe I'm reporting this. Boy, after a month in which we feel like we were tarred and feathered and put into a wig for the Atlanta Housewives reunion, we are coming back to life. And I don't mean Jimmy Kruger coming back to life. We're literally coming back to life. Hazard pay is likely to get approved. What's going on and why am I reporting this? Today, if you didn't watch, check 30 minutes before this broadcast, I detailed how Republicans and Democrats, cabinet members and congressional leaders now all say that the second stimulus package will get approved in September. They're saying the reason why we had to literally get our feet dragged over hot coals in the month of August was because of two events that we had nothing to do with. The Republican National Convention and the Democrat National Convention. It said it was a distracting thing for timeline that did not allow people to really get things done. And on the other regards, they didn't want to show discussions about other subjects because it was distract from the imagery of what they were trying to portray that week. Let me explain what's confusing about this. We sit here and we're like, okay, I need my stimulus checks. I'm homeless. I need stimulus checks. And they're concerned about imagery, but ultimately these are people who have spent not just a week, but months, if not an entire year, preparing for a convention that was pre-taped. And, talking about hazard pay during the convention is not something they could do because they never knew what it was going to be like come August. These are pre-taped broadcasts. These are taped weeks in advance, months in advance. So they couldn't talk about stimulus during a convention because they didn't know whether the stimulus negotiations were going to be. They also couldn't talk about them behind the scenes or separate from the convention because they didn't want to detract from the image and the message of the convention. Got it? It's sort of like, I'm opening on Broadway. It's the show called The Chuck Schumer Show. I'm opening on Broadway, but I also have a taco stand on the corner. Don't talk about the taco stands because we want to talk about Broadway in my show. So now that the conventions are over, we can get to hazard pay. We can get to that $10,000 grant that will land in your bank account. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for you. This is what you got to do. If you haven't done it yet, I've been talking about before, now is sort of the time to start doing it. Pen and paper. Pen and paper. I need you to start doing things because hazard pay is not one of those things that's just, it just appears. It's something that requires calculations. It requires something for you to ramp up the discussion. It requires you to know what you're entitled to, how you're entitled to it, and how you go through the steps. So let me go slowly through this again. And I want you, by the end of this week, promise between me and you, is that you know how much hazard pay you're entitled to. I don't want you to not know that answer because we're getting sort of close now. We're getting, 3 weeks out from when, or 4 weeks out from when this could pass as law. If you didn't watch the video before, Mark Meadows and everyone is basically saying we're looking at middle September, late September for all this to be done. So I don't want you to just, wake up in late September. It's like, oh, how much hazard pay do I get? How much do I get? I want you to do that now. So, and I don't want you to do Larry Kudlow math. I want you to do the good math. Okay, let's do it right now. How many hours did you work from early January to now in your essential place of work? And if you're going to ask me back, does that include overtime, part-time, full-time, anytime, furloughed hours? Yes, includes everything. How many hours did you work? If your answer is, I got to look at my time sheets, go look at your time sheets. If your answer is, I worked, I don't get paid on the hourly, I get paid on the job, per job, you need to go look and see how many jobs you did and figure out in your mind how many hours that is. Okay? Then the next thing I want you to do, then you may also say, hey, I worked more than one essential job. That's fine. Do one piece of paper for one job and one piece of paper for the other job. I want you to write these down, and I want you to calculate how many hours it is. I want you to do it up to now. If you're still at that job, then, maybe look at a calendar and say, okay, from now to late September, let's do September 30th. How many more weeks would that be? How much more money would I likely get between now and September? How many more hours would I have between now and September 30th? Put that lower on the piece of paper so that you're finally done. Because I don't want you to calculate just today's date because obviously the bill's not passed today. But I want you to get those number of hours. Okay, now you have it on a piece of paper, your number of hours. Next, I want you to take the number $13 an hour, write it on the paper. So number of hours, how many hours you have, let's say it's 100 hours times $13 an hour. If you don't do quick math, open up the calculator app on your phone and type in 13 times the number of hours you worked. So if it's 100, you would type in 13 star 100. That's 13,000. If I'm doing my math right. Hopefully I said that right. Boy, maybe I didn't say that right. Maybe it's 1.3 million. No, I'm doing math on camera, so it's nothing more difficult in the world. Anyway, it's 13 times 100 is 1,000, 13. Oh, excuse me, let me say it this way. 1,000 hours times $13 an hour, that's $13,000. I can do that quickly on camera. So I want you to write that down. Okay. Next thing I need you to do is I need you to look at your 2019 tax return and see how much money did you make in 2019. Now, I want you to first think, wait, were you working in the same essential work job or similar type of essential work job in 2019? If the answer is yes, make a little note for you. If the answer is no, make a note about that as well. This is the rub, because the bill says you're only entitled up to $10,000 if you made less than $100,000 2019 in an essential workplace. If you didn't work in an essential workplace, I don't know what they're going to do with that. But if you made over $100,000 last year, then you would get up to $5,000. Okay, so if you look at your 2019 tax return, you see you made, let's say $85,000 last year. So you could be eligible up to $10,000. So look at that number you did before on that piece of paper. 1,000 hours times $13 an hour, $13,000. Okay, you won't get $13,000. You will get $10,000 because your 2019 earnings was $88,000. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Now, let's say you do the calculation for your number of hours and $13 an hour, and you're not even at 10,000. You're not even at 5,000, for example. Don't worry. That's the amount that you'll still get. You'll still get that lump sum. You need to put down on a piece of paper, what is my lump sum that I'm entitled to start off? And when you do that, if you do 1,000 hours times $13 an hour, your lump sum is $10,000, and you're done. You're not going to get anything else after that. But let's say, it's less. Let's say it's $9,000. Well, you'll get a lump sum of $9,000, and then you'll get hours going forward if you're still working in an essential workplace. Pretty simple. But I need to do this calculation because it's one of those things that it's not done in 20 minutes, this calculation. It's not an inherently easy calculation. It's not that simple. and there's a lot of twists and turns, and you need to know the number, because ultimately if the bookkeeper at the business doesn't do this right, then you're screwed. Now what's really great news is about this channel is that I've been doing this broadcast for hazard pay for what, 3 months. So by now you should sort of be used to everything that I tell you about of what you're facing with hazard pay. 1, you need to know the calculation. 2, you need to know the law. The law says you can't apply for hazard pay. Boy, repeat, you cannot apply for hazard pay. There's no online application for you to apply for hazard pay. You, the employee, cannot apply for hazard pay. The employer must apply for you. And, excuse me, I had the wrong verb in there. The employer may apply for you, not must. They do not have to apply for you. They have the only authority to apply for hazard pay, and they may apply for you. If they don't, you have no recourse. If they don't get the hazard pay for you, there's nothing you can do about it. If you worked at multiple essential workplaces, then all those employers have to apply for you. If you're unionized, generally the union is going to push for it. And please watch my other videos on this, because I've done this a lot on videos. The unions will unionize and will use the power of the union to get all that hazard pay. I used an example a few days ago, which was really quite telling. That I was in one state, I think it was like North Carolina or something like that, where the state allocated some hazard pay to essential workers in their state, and they allocated like 40 million. One place of work that had 700 essential workers, one place of work took nearly 25% of that hazard pay money for the entire state and just ate it up. Because what did they do? They were unionized, and they got an application in for 700 employees in one fall swoop. That's going to happen this time around. It's not going to be an unlimited sum of money. I mean, hazard pay is not going to sit around as a limited sum of money. So who do you speak to about getting the application on file? Your boss. Who else do you speak to? The local union. Who else do you speak to? Your fellow workers. You need to use every angle you can in your power of the purple, your persuasive capabilities, your seductive talk to get everyone on board with you to ensure that this employer that employs you applies for hazard pay. You don't want them to sit back and think about it, take it in consideration, No, you want them to apply for you. And you want them to do it quickly because, as I've said to you 1,000 times on this channel, things move very quickly, very positively, and then poof, they're gone. Poof, they're gone. I mean, it's just the way it happens. Now, exciting news today about China, ironically, which is sort of an indicator of where this economy might be going, that following a huge drop of their economy because of COVID-19, BHG Group Mike CEO Henry thinks that there could be an incredible rebound instantly in the Chinese economy, and that the U.S. economy could mirror that as well. We expect it to be a quite sharp uptick in China right next year, says Henry to Squawk Box this morning. The Chinese government has stepped in with some stimulus that we expect will create further momentum through the calendar year. So things are looking pretty positive and very resilient. We're expecting there to be a sharp contraction in the global economy over this calendar year. We then expect there to be a sharp uptick again in the next year. So we foresee it taking about a year for the world to get back on levels of economic activity pre-COVID, maybe 2 to 3 years. The Chinese government stepped in with some stimulus that was expected to create further momentum through the next calendar year. So things are looking very good. In New York, the issue of hazard pay really heated up today as well, as Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, really took Trump and CDC to the mat. He took a real big grievance about a new federal guidance from CDC about testing, and said, shame on the people at the CDC. This is Cuomo's own words. He called the change indefensible. What's going on, and what does this have to do with hazard pay? It has to do with the risk on the workplace. As you know, the hazard pay bill talks about ensuring that you have a safe workplace going forward, additional to just getting the money and additional to ensuring you're getting paid going forward. CDC, which you know is a federal agency, it's not a private organization, had previously recommended testing for anyone with a recently known or suspected exposure to COVID-19. and said that the potential for asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic transmission was a reason to quickly and identify testing right away. That was then. Well, get ready for today. The new guidance just published says people without symptoms who are in close contact with infected COVID-19 people for at least 15 minutes do not, yes, I said do not necessarily need to test. Let's recap that. You don't have symptoms, but you're around someone with COVID-19 for at least 15 minutes, don't have to test. What? Oh, Andrew Cuomo had a cow about this. We're not going to follow the CDC guidelines. I consider political propaganda. I would caution private companies against following the CDC guidelines. I think it's wholly indefensible on its face. I think it's inherently self-contradictory. If the exact opposite of what the CDC has been saying. So either the CDC is schizophrenic or they're admitting error in their first position, or this is a political dictators. Boy, he chooses his words very nicely, better than his brother. They either lied to the American people or they're completely incompetent. This is not me, this is him talking, because they didn't track the virus in China and they didn't track the virus leaving China and getting to Europe. The CDC either totally missed it or they were ordered not to speak about. This just evidences once again political control over what's supposed to be a public health organization. Oh my goodness. Because the president's politics are COVID inside the problem. We're past COVID. It's all about the economy. The economy is doing great. We're focusing on the economy, and that's his re-election strategy. He's using CDC as a campaign rhetorical device. My goodness. The great news today, needless to say, is you're going to get your hazard pay. All indications is the second stimulus package is going to get approved in September. All indications are that you're going to get your hazard pay. No one has said anything against hazard pay. Nancy Pelosi has not thrown it to the sides. All indications are no one wants to do standalone bills because they want to get things done as one falls swoop. That'll all get done in late to mid-September amid a fear of a government shutdown September 30th. Both parties, both houses of Congress, have to do a congressional bill to balance the budget by September 30th, and if they don't, the government shuts down. Well, despite my reporting yesterday where I was fearful that Nancy Pelosi was going to roll stimulus into next year and use the shutdown to shut down the government, everyone's now saying she's doing the reverse, that she's using the threat of the shutdown of the government to get stimulus approved with the government's balancing the budget in September. Hallelujah. My goodness. I just, oh my goodness. Coming up after this is FPUC with grant money. I got grant money in that video, so tune in. And after that, I will be doing a special broadcast of tracking Hurricane Laura. Projected path, the latest from the National Hurricane Center, as Hurricane Laura approaches ground and what you should expect. If you don't know, LA has always been one of the top news broadcast channels for hurricane tracking, and we're coming back, and we're coming back strong. As always, go to the front of the channel, hit that subscribe and alert button. Appreciate your patronage. Let's add some more subscribers. We went down a little bit yesterday. We only did like 2,000 new subscribers, so let's get it up. Hit that like at the front of this video. Hit it. Like, hit it like that politician you're really pissed off at. And as always, stay informed, stay motivated, stay smiling, and stay in LA for more.